Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. My name is Kevin Vogel. I'm the Vice President of Virtualization and Cloud Computing here at Champion Solutions Group. And today we're going to be talking about one of really the hidden jewels inside Office 365, which is the data loss protection option that's available to you in your Office 365 environment. So with that, we're going to jump right into the presentation. I'm going to do some demonstrations here on how it looks for end users, on how easy it is to manage the environment, and some of the tools that are included with Office 365 from a template and customization standpoint. So let's talk about why data loss protection. As you probably know, just by reading the newspapers, listening to the news, that there is a large amount of data getting out that people don't want to get released. So a large retailer down here in Florida got hit with payment information that got sent out via email. Accidental emails and attachments expose Social Security numbers, account numbers, information that corporations just don't want to have released to outside sources. And, you know, what really causes a breach? There's really three main reasons why information leaves your corporation. Number one, you got cybercrime. You got people that are trying to get to your data either through malware or a bunch of different ways to really take advantage of your corporation and try to get the data out of it. You also have some system glitches, things that just happen either from a security standpoint, a firewall port that was left open, some reason that a system didn't catch some of the information, and then there's user error. You know, oops, I sent something I shouldn't have, or they don't even know that they're sending out information that they shouldn't be sending out inside an email or as part of an attachment or somewhere in OneDrive or SharePoint portal that you're using. And there are a lot of different ways that Office 365 can really protect your data. But as you could see, you know, 37% of it is those people out there trying to grab your data. But even more of that is really just people making honest mistakes. They don't think that they're, you know, doing anything wrong, but they are actually sending out information that either your corporation, really from a corporate strategy, or for compliance reasons, if you're in an industry like healthcare or finance or education, where, you know, you're under some guidelines and restrictions that you just can't release this data. But you'll find out that 97% of this is avoidable, and this is right from the Online Trust Alliance in 2013. So we can get it all the way down, you know, and really safeguard 97% of all of this information that's getting out can be protected. And really, data loss protection in Microsoft Office helps to identify the data that you want to protect. It will help you monitor who has access to that data and if it's being sent places where you don't want it being sent to. It will help you to automate the protection of that data, either by alerting the people that's sending it out, those people that, oops, I didn't know this wasn't supposed to go, or by restricting it altogether from leaving your premise. And then really the fourth and key cog to this wheel is really user education. I can tell you that, you know, even here at Champion, you know, we have people that send out information sometimes that they shouldn't be sending out. So once we put in this lost data protection and started getting some of the reports back, and you'll see that you can generate reports right out of this solution, you'll be able to find out if there's data that's leaving or data that's trying to leave, and but now we're restricting it, who's doing it, and then you can educate those end users. You'll see through policy updates and through alerts that can come either through email or just right through their email client. So let's show you just a little bit of what Outlook and OWA can offer you from a interface for your end users. And really, you know, you got to make it simple for the end users. They really you don't want them to have to really think about what they're doing. That's where these policies come in place, and you'll find out that we can do this. So I'm going to open up a mail client here, and I've already started a few of these documents in draft here. So I'm going to open up this billing one, and as you can see, there's information in there, and I'm going to send it out to an outside source, so out to a Yahoo account. Now you'll see the first thing that happens is a little pop-up came up above your email line, and then a couple seconds later, a policy tip actually appeared to your end user. So as you can see with this policy tip, you'll get a pop-up, but if I blow this up here, you can see that this message appears to contain sensitive information. Make sure all recipients are authorized to receive it. So you can see that it highlights that Alex Darrow, is outside of our domain. So, and the information that's in there, you can see is a Visa card number. So whether it's a legit number or not, the format is correct. In this policy tip, which you can see, you can just arrow over, you can see that it's alerting you that it's a credit card number, and that if you think this information is sensitive, or you don't think this information is sensitive, you can actually report it back by just pressing on the report button, and you can also hit the learn more button down here at the bottom and be able to see what the rule really is. So this is a great way to educate your end users around what information you want to leave and what information doesn't. Now our rule that we set up here still allowed them to send it, but I could also go in there and say it's restricted and it will not be sent. Now, as you can see, I can open up another document here, and this one doesn't have any credit card information in the body of the email, but might have some information in the Excel spreadsheet and the Word document that's attached. And as you can see, the following person is outside of your environment, and you can see that now it's popping up and actually showing us that this message cannot be sent because it appears to contain sensitive information. Number one, Alex is outside of your local area, and to send this message without removing the information, I can pick to override this, and that's part of the policy that we set up, and that policy can be fine-tuned either by the users in a group. For instance, your executives might have the ability to override this, where other people just can't send this information out. All of it, though, will be logged into the report database that comes with the data loss protection. So as you can see, that this is something that you can set up and you can have in your environment. You can fine-tune it to the individual user, and it will even search the attachments. Now, these attachments have to be clear text. It can't be, for instance, if you have a picture of a credit card or you have a picture of a social security number and it's in a JPEG or it's in some type of image format, we aren't going to catch this. You know, right now, I don't know of anybody that can. But if I can look at it in clear text, if I can see it in an Excel spreadsheet, or I can see it in the instructions here, you know, in the Word document, I'll be able to tell you that it's in there, and it can be part of the policy that we set up for those individuals. So with that, you know, all of these things, it actually educates your user, which is what the policy tip does. It tells you why it isn't being done, and it can even give you that override capability if you're part of that policy that allows you to do that. And the beauty of setting up these data loss protection environments is that you can drill down very easily through the Office 365 portal and give yourself the ability to really fine-tune your policies to each individual. Now, you're going to see later on in the presentation that this credit card template from the DLP section is already built into your environment. You don't have to go in and really do anything to it except add in the users that you want it to affect and when it takes effect, who it affects, and so on. But the actual credit card policy is in there. You can also add things like Social Security numbers or account numbers. Now, obviously, if you want to hit the override button here, then you could type in a reason for the override, and this is work-related, or you can just send it without because it doesn't contain that data, and then you can see that the policy tip has changed, and you've chosen to send the message, and this is what actually appears in your logs, that you actually said you want to send the message, and that the reason will also pop up in that log that we talked about. So as you can see, it's really a full function environment for your end users without them really having to know a lot about how to work with data loss protection. So let's see how that actually works. So what happens is your administrator actually creates the policy that we talked about. It gets installed and managed through your Exchange server. It actually gets pushed down then to your information workers through the policy distribution. So whether you're using an Outlook client, whether you're using OWA, your end users will get that policy then pushed down to them. Once they create an email and that email gets sent by your Exchange server, you can see that it's going to look at the policy and evaluate if there's anything that's actually going to affect that email. It will also audit the incident and generate a report, so you'll be able to see what it's doing. And the beauty really of the DLP enforcement is you get to ratchet up what policies and how you want them enforced. So you can start out with just a simple alert. Just let people know that, you know, this goes against our rules and you shouldn't be sending out this data. You can then ratchet it up to where you can encrypt that email if you want to send it outside your environment so that only that person, the person that you're sending it to, can actually open that document. You can override them with the ability to, as we saw in the demonstration, override that policy and give a business reason why they have to send it, or you can really lock it down tight and block them from actually sending out any of this data, whether it's an attachment or whether it's part of the email. So, and as you could see, these are the templates that I was talking about earlier, and you'll be able to go in there and give it a name, payment card policy, and there's a PCI data security standard that's already built into the data loss protection environment. So you can just go in there and pick it and then customize it. We'll show that a little later in the demo, but then you can customize it for what you need, which users it affects, how it affects them, and if you need PCI compliance, the payment card industry compliance, then you have this built-in template that's already out there that you can take advantage of. You can also build your own templates, and you can also get templates from partners like Champion that is developing templates for different industries and different partners, and then you can import them into your environment and then use them for whatever you need in there. So let's take a look at how easy this is to manage. Now, this is the Office 365 Administrator Portal. You can see that there's a Compliance Management tab and a Data Loss Protection tab right there at the top. So as you can see in here, here are all my policy and policy tips here, my document fingerprints, and then all of the different templates that I'm using today. Here's that PCI compliance template that we used earlier. So you can see this is my PCI compliance. We have a general tab here on the left, and we also have a rules tab, which we'll get to in a second. But here in the general section, you put just basic information. You can give it your own name or whatever you want to do it. You can give it a description. You can be as descriptive as you want. And then we just have some radial buttons down here below that allow you to do some simple and easy things with that. So you can enable or disable the policy. You can enforce it. You can test it, both policy with the tips, or you can test it without the tips displaying in there, so that you can get, without letting your end users know that you're testing this policy, you can go in and first of all start out to test the policy without tips, and you'll get the reports from it. And then inside here is where you can go in and customize how the PCI policy or any of your policies will work. So let's take a look at the low count, for instance, right here. So let me just click on it. There we go. And in there, you can see, and this is in the low end of the policy. That means how many credit card numbers or social security numbers or whatever you're protecting are involved in that individual document. So you can see that this rule applies if it's sent outside of your organization. If the message contains sensitive information, which is a credit card number. Notify the sender with a policy tip. So you can see, but it will allow them to send it. So that's an important thing. You can change that, not allow them to send it at all. And then it will generate an incident report, and then where you want that incident report to go to. You might have a compliance manager or someone else. So let's take a look at the sensitive information here. And you can see it's a minimum of 1 and a maximum of 9. So this is what we are on our low end. So we're allowing that person with the low end count, we might allow them to send that out without having to do an override, where anything 10 or above needs an override. But it will still inform them that they're using that. Now, I can add additional information up here. So, for instance, if I wanted to add social security number, I wanted to add account numbers in the format that they're in. So you could see, very simple, if I go to the high count here, and you can see that I can set up a policy for that. Now, I will, outside the company credit card number, but block the message, but allow them the sender to override with a business justification. So before, they could send it, but they didn't have to justify it. Now, anything over 10 credit cards, they can. So it's up to you where you want to set these policies. I'm just showing you how it works here. So there's the 10, and anything above that, has to have some type of business justification to be able to send it out based around this policy. So let's clear out of that. So you can see, very easy to set up. You can create new ones right from there. You can, like I said, you can have a new policy. All you got to do is type in just basic information here, MVA, demo, policy, and just a description that I have here. And then I can go down and let's say you're, I don't know, let's say you're a company from Canada here. So let's find, shoot, where I missed it already. Hold on. So let's say that you're the Personal Information Act for Canada. So you can see that you can just click on that. You hit the Save button. And you can apply that policy to your Office 365 environment. So this, and you got to remember that these are templates in there. They've already been created for you, and they just automatically get in there, and then you can actually go in and change these and customize these really for your own use. So it's a pretty simple management tool that you can use as you go. You can see that you can also import DLP policy, or you can make a custom policy, and it's right here in a single interface for you to work in. So this is just what we talked about. So predefined rules targeted for sensitive data types, advanced content detection, and what I mean by that is it will look at clear text, even inside of documents, combination of regular expression, dictionaries, internal functions. You basically create what you're looking for, and you can see that it's very simple to do. You don't have to have a PhD in DLP to be able to do this. You can break it down. If you're a U.S. company, you can see we got security breach laws and the U.S. state social security laws. We have all the different HIPAA for health, finance, you saw PCI. All of them are already in there from a template standpoint. And there are thousands of partners like Champion that can develop custom templates for you if you really want to get very verbose about what you're looking for and making sure you're not getting false positives from your security policy. This is just the analysis process and how it works. You'll see that some of the information is in there, and what it's doing is it's getting the content, it's looking at the analysis, it's checking it against the checksum, and it's a very simple, very easy process for you to follow and to get reports back about the incident. You can also do document fingerprinting, and this is advanced deep content analysis enabling really new scenarios. And especially now, we're in tax time. People are looking, for tax firm needs to detect and encrypt standard tax forms like 1040 EZs and so on. So you can actually do a lot more than just the standard lookup. If you're looking for certain information inside documents, for instance, it says a law firm can fingerprint legal documents and have them detect automatically for any type of policy application. So it's all built in, and like I said, you can use it in Outlook and you can use that in OWA. And basically, here's how it actually goes through this. Again, you do the configuration, and then in the runtime, it's looking for those patterns that you've created so it can make sure that the document is safe to send out outside your corporation to another person. So pretty great stuff. It is now expanded into SharePoint, which also means that it's expanded into OneDrive and OneDrive for Business, so that now you can actually protect your documents if you're sharing them with a link through OneDrive, if you're storing them up in OneDrive, so you can search for sensitive data up there. You can have built-in classifications of data that's in your SharePoint site, and this really does extend all the way out for those of you that are using OneDrive and OneDrive for Business. It's a unbelievably good tool to actually start protecting your data in those environments. User education, and like I said, this is really the most important part to this whole solution, is the ability to educate your customers, which are your end users, on what policies you have in place and what they're looking for. And that's where the policy kit really helps your people to go in and say, oh shoot, I didn't know I couldn't send credit card information, or I couldn't send account numbers, or whatever information. For instance, here at Champion, we don't like to send out our customer lists and things like that. So we protect them, and we look for things like client list and customer list, and we don't allow them to be sent out to external forces outside of Champion. So you can build all those things right into your environment. And like I said, policy tips in OWA for now your phone. So if a lot of people are using their cell phones or tablets now and going into OWA and doing things that aren't on Outlook. So now, built into this, you can get the policy tips and policy alerts in your cell phone so that you don't make that mistake even if you're not using Outlook. So you can see that the policy tips come up. You can get details just by clicking on Show Details, and it will say that this has a credit card number in it, and we won't let it go out. So a pretty cool tool for your end users. And really the whole thing is it's included with your Office 365. We'll show you which plans it includes here at the end. So let's take a little look at the reporting and the customization that you can do inside the DLP. So here we remember this interface that we were at last time. So we're under the same tab. We're under the same management scope. So now we can go in here and we can start to set up a scope outside the organization. So we can type in whatever we need. We can generate reports, and these reports can go to different people for different reasons. If you have a compliance officer, if you have any of your security people that you want to see, even upper management, if they want to generate a report that's specifically for them, you'll see that you'll be able to customize these reports and give them just the information that they're looking for and not have to give them everything. So here's where the reports can go. You can go in here and add users, take users away, and then you can customize what each one of these users will see. And really it's a checkbox, as you can see, of what information you can get. So whether you get a false positive report, whether you get that it's matching rules, where it's being sent to, you can even get the original email or the matching content for that. So here's just one of the messages that you can get. As you can see, it's an email that gets sent to yours. The travel information above is actually the attachment of the actual message that you get. It will alert you to the auditing data. It will tell you all the different things that that this person actually did from a classification. And I know that I have this in a slide a little further on. We'll go into more detail. But you'll get a comprehensive view of the DLP policy and how it's working. In other words, which people are actually getting hit, or do you have any false positives? People that are saying that, when you ask them a question that this didn't really have false information in it, so that you can actually tweak your tools that you're using. And here's that same message that we talked about. As you can see, here's the audit data. So you can see it's medium severity. There was no override. There was no false positive. And then we have the classification. It was the credit card number, and there was only one of them, and it was an 85% confidence that it was a credit card number and in the minimum restriction. So you could see that the rules that you actually put in place, so the policy number that you put in place, are all in this email. So very simple. Here's the value that it actually hit. So you can see it's a simple way to do it. And you can also customize, because you could see exactly how these policies are written. So you can go in and get the code and then do your own PowerShell script around this. And that's really how people learn to write these, because they're all in PowerShell, and be able to integrate it into your custom workflows and not just the industry standards if you're doing things in your business that are different from the norm. So it gives you one experience right inside the Compliance Center for Office 365. As you could see, it makes it real easy to manage. It's not something that you have to go out and take a 4-week course on to be able to do this. You can test it. As you remember, you can start out by just testing the policy that you put in place with no alerts to your end user. It will just generate reports back to you. You'll be able to see what false positives you're getting. Then you can move it up a ratchet and use it with some test users where they actually get to see the policy. You can get feedback from them, and then you can enable the policy once you've tweaked it along the way. So it's a simple and easy way for you to start managing all your DLP policies. You can set up for all the sensitive data definitions that you want. You can use new templates, or you can import templates that you get from partners. So as you can see, here are some of the things to be able to get some of the new features. You have to be on SP1, both in Exchange and Outlook if you're doing it on-premise. Obviously, if you're doing it up in Office 365, they're already on Service Pack 1. And if you're running Outlook 2003, then you're set. You'll start to get your policy tips in OWA and in your mobile OWA. You get advanced document fingerprinting in Exchange, Outlook, and OWA, and 5 new OOB sensitive information types that now you can start looking for. So built right in. So to summarize really how to do your DLP deployment, you start out with a plan. And in that plan, you start with the built-in templates that are there. Make sure that you're meeting either a business or regulatory requirement. You can customize these policies and sensitive types and scopes. You can target that little group of users that will help you fine-tune that new policy that you want to put in place. Then you can test these and notify the users by putting those tips out there. Make sure that they're actually doing what they're supposed to do. You can enable the incident reports, see how this access impacts the rules, tune them based on false positives that you're getting, and then you can roll these out or enable these deployments, and you've tested it thoroughly before you start to enforce this mode, and then you can continue to tune them based on the reports that you can generate right out of Office 365. So it's a simple tool to use. I can tell you the more we show our users how and what's involved, they're starting to really love this product, and it really does help them with their DLP strategy. It's available in Exchange Plan 2. In the premium SKUs like E3 and E4, obviously the government and academic, same thing. You can get this on-premise with your enterprise CALs and services. Policy tips will require Office Professional Plus or Professional Pro Plus. So you're going to need that for your policy and tips. So here are just some of the resources for learning more about DLP. You can go to our MessageOps sites. We have some great tools there at MessageOps.com under our Office 365 tools. You can go into the Microsoft site and go into Learning. If you have an MSN subscription, MSDN subscription, you can go in and look for resources for developers if you want to develop your own templates. And then, of course, TechNet is always a great place to find more information about anything Office 365. We also have a list of resources for Exchange DLP introduction. You can see that TechNet is out there with a whole bunch of these different sites and different ways for you to be able to learn more about policy tips and supported file types and so on. We only have, here about 40 minutes to try to educate you on the basics of DLP. Now, if you have any questions or anything you want to ask, we'll keep this line open here for about 5 minutes and answer any questions. Just look on the right-hand side on the bottom under the chat box. If you want to type in a message, we'll try to answer any of your questions for you. And if not, you can always call Champion here at 800-771-7000 and just ask for the Microsoft team, and they'll be able to help you with any individual questions that we didn't answer on this webinar. Well, I don't see any questions coming in. I don't want to keep you on the phone too long, but we really do appreciate you spending these 35, 40 minutes with us to learn all about DLP. Like I said, if you do have any questions on Office 365 or DLP in general, please feel free to contact Champion. Our toll-free phone number is 1-800-771-7000. Like I said, you can go to our MessageOps site and get a whole bunch of tools to help you easily manage Office 365, and that's at MessageOps.com. I want to thank you and have a great day.